Oh, Jackie Boys got a sports show. You were tuning into that sports show this week. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? For people on YouTube seeing this, for people listening, we got this thing on YouTube now. We're recording. Hey, how you doing? We're recording a visual to go along with the audio. Audio will always be on Spotify. But now we got a YouTube. Go check out the video if you want to see my pretty face talking about these sports topics. No house cleaning. Let's just get right into it. We're just going to talk about football. We're going to talk about this week in the NFL. Week 1 in the NFL. Kickoff week in the NFL. How exciting it was. And we're going to talk about week 2 in college football. Look ahead at a few matchups this coming up weekend. And Jackie's sports show is coming every Wednesday. Going to try to make it around noon. Maybe. That's when I have a little break in my college schedule where I can upload stuff. But my internet is out, so it's probably going to be a little later in the day. But yeah, so let's get to it. How did your team do this past weekend in college or in the pros? How was your team? My team, Tennessee, struggled against Austin Peay in the first half of their game. And Neyland, by the way, which sucked. I mean, it was an omen for how the weekend was going to go because the Titans go into New Orleans this past Sunday and suck. They suck. Not all aspects of it. The defense played pretty good. The receivers were actually getting separation. The offensive line wasn't as bad as we thought the offensive line was going to be. Too bad Tanny decided that he'd just forget how to play football. What happened? What happened to Ryan Tannehill? I know a lot of people get on here and are like, Tannehill sucks. You really like Tannehill? You really think Tannehill's all that? No, I don't. He's reliable. He's a reliable mid-tier franchise quarterback. That's how he's been his entire career. But last week, he looked like the worst version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was awful. He looked like Blaine Gabbert. But I've already had my Titans little spiel. I was aggravated. I was upset. But we did cruise into some amazing games, such as the Bucs and Vikings, the revival of Baker Mayfield. Do we have it? Do we have a revival in Tampa Bay with one Baker Mayfield? I sure hope so. Do you remember that play? I'm posting this on TikTok later. It's probably up by the time whoever follows me on TikTok sees this. Baker against the Steelers a couple of years ago. He gets hit late out of bounds. And then he hops up and he flexes and he starts shouting at the crowd, "Let's fucking go!" I want Baker to be good so bad. I've always been a Baker guy, and I love the energy and the fire from him. Just some of the stuff he says is ridiculous. Sometimes his attitude becomes too much. But I hope it works out in Tampa Bay. I really does. I really hope it does. Some more exciting action. How about those Miami Dolphins? Looking like they did when Tua was healthy. I really hope Tua's brain doesn't become tofu. I really hope Tua's brain does not become tofu. Because when Tua's out there, that offense is so good. It's so beautiful to watch. Him, you got Raheem Mostert in the backfield, an underrated little running back. A little is kind of degrading to him. I apologize for that. But Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle. The offensive line is good enough. That pass rush with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Plus, you got the addition of David Long, R.I.P. Jalen Ramsey, who they picked up in free agency. But that DB, the Dolphins, if Tua is healthy, are scary. Brent Coleman made a video when Tyreek was originally traded to the Dolphins talking about how similar the Chiefs' offense is to the Dolphins' offense. And I hope that's not the case because people are just going to start saying, all right, let's do how we played the Chiefs for the first half of last year, I think. No, the year prior. when they just dropped two safeties back so they couldn't let Tyreek beat them deep. I mean, that could be a possibility, but that Dolphins team is very fun to watch. Very fun to watch. Now, saying all this, before we get into the Jets Monday night thing, I want you guys to remember something. Week 1 in the NFL, it's fake. It's not real. Fugazi. How was Matthew McConaughey in that movie? It's not real. It's fairy dust. Whatever he said, it's fairy dust in the wind. It's not real. Why is it not real? Because starters don't play in the preseason anymore. They might play one drive of one game, or they might play 5 or 6 snaps. So your week 1 NFL starters aren't going to look as good as they will week 3. That's just the case now. Week 1 is fake. It's not real. Now, sometimes you get teams playing at full potential, right? Dolphins. But sometimes you get teams playing like the Titans, like the Bengals, like the Chiefs, where it's like the Giants. It's just, that is not who they're going to be this season. It's not. And if you believe that, if you watched your team get absolutely trounced, if you watched your quarterback play horribly, if you watched your defense play horribly, whatever, it's just an emotional reaction. And I hope that by today, when you're watching this, you've gotten over that emotional reaction and come back to the realization, hey, week 1 is fake. It's not real. Let's get into the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. 4 plays into playing for the New York Jets. Tears his Achilles. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I watched Hard Knocks and I watched how excited the New York Jets were bringing in Aaron Rodgers. Finally got a quarterback. Finally had a decent quarterback ever since, Mark Sanchez's second year? Mark Sanchez? That's probably what they called him. Mark Sanchez's second year. It sucks. I feel for the Jets. And apparently, they have no faith in Zach Wilson. If you watch the Manning cast, Peyton was like, don't throw it, just run the ball. Just run the ball. Throw the ball only if you have a certified open route. If you don't, run the ball. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And apparently, the Jets coaching staff has the same sentiment towards Zach Wilson because the coaches can't sleep, right? And I'm not going to blame the coaches, really. I mean, what has Zach Wilson done to show that he's ready to play as a full-time starter in the NFL? The coaches haven't slept. And if you see Robert Salah's face, it's the funniest. It's going to be one of the funniest memes this NFL season because Aaron Rodgers is hurt and he's laying on the ground and it cuts to Robert Salah just going. It's so completely emotionless. The visual watchers will get that. But now it's reported that the Jets are out there looking for a veteran quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers so that they don't have to go with Zach Wilson for the rest of the season because Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. He's out for the season. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to be the last time we ever see him. No, it won't. If you know anything about Aaron Rodgers, you know that A, he was already talking about playing for another 5-6 years. B, he's not the kind of guy that's going to go out on an injury. He's the kind of guy that's going to go out on his own terms. But the Jets are looking for a veteran quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers, and so they don't have to start Zach Wilson. And a couple names have been thrown around the past couple days, including Matt Ryan, including Joe Flacco, bringing Joe Flacco back, including some people coming up and saying, well, Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job. God, those people really need to get over that. And I'm saying that like I have spiked towards Kaepernick. I don't. Originally, when he originally did it, I was in my ultra, I think I was 14, just getting into politics, watching SJW compilations. Now it's just the hate towards Kaepernick is so overblown and people just didn't want to listen. But I don't mean to turn this into a segment about Colin Kaepernick, but I guess that's what it is right now. Colin Kaepernick doesn't want to play in the NFL anymore. He made that very clear. I know he still reaches out to teams for some reason, even though that the NFL set up a tryout for him in Atlanta, and he didn't show up even when scouts from teams were showing up to watch him. He decided last minute that he was going to move the workout to a random-ass high school in Georgia. I believe it was in Georgia. And then he wants to shit-talk the NFL after he was done with the workout, even though scouts were coming to see him. And then he wants to bitch about not having a job, and his supporters continue to bitch about why he doesn't have a job in the NFL. It's so fucking annoying. He doesn't like the NFL. He's made that clear. Why is he still trying to get a job? Why are you still begging for him to get a job? He doesn't like the NFL. The NFL doesn't like him. Teams don't trust him. He doesn't trust them. So fucking get over it. I'm so tired of Colin Kaepernick's name being brought up. Every couple months, it's like, Colin Kaepernick is still working out, and he looks like it. He's what, 34 years old? Been out of the league for 7 years? Fucking drop it. It's over. If he wants to play in the NFL, the XFL is starting up and the USFL started up. Or go to Canada. You're no longer a part of the NFL. So Cap and his supporters need to cut the fucking shit, dude. And I don't mean to curse so much, but oh my God, shut up. Shut up. This guy's not coming back to the NFL. Now that that's over with, the last name, and the name that makes the most sense, is Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is the epitome of a journeyman quarterback, right? Started in New England, did some time in Indianapolis, did some time in Cleveland, and I believe one or two other places, and he's played well. Jacoby Brissett is not a bad quarterback to have. He was very, very efficient in Cleveland last year. You could even say it's not ridiculous, and it's not just because I don't like the guy. Cleveland was better when Jacoby Brissett was under center. That's not ridiculous. Now, he's currently sitting in Washington, and you'd probably have to give up some picks because I believe he's the backup in Washington, but he's a good quarterback to have. If you think you have the roster to compete right now, which I think the Jets do, which I'm sure Robert Saleh thinks the Jets do, I think Jacoby Brissett is the smartest move you can make here. You're not going to make some blockbuster deal because you have Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be back next season, so you don't need some long-term vet quarterback, but a 1 year, like a one-off, a guy who's not going to turn the ball over, a guy who's going to be very efficient, a guy that's certainly better than Zach Wilson, certainly, I would say, better than Flacco or Ryan or Wentz, certainly better than those guys. I'd go get Jacoby Brissett. I would go get Jacoby Brissett. But like I said, I want y'all to remember, Week 1 isn't real. Week 1 is fake. It's not real. Your team's going to look better next week. If they don't look better next week, they'll look better the next week. If they don't look good by week 3, you're fucked. You're fucked. Don't know what to tell you. Let's move on to college football. For those of you interested in college football, I got a couple opinions about what happened this past week, mostly with how the rankings fell. Now, I made my rankings, and I dropped Utah to 18, I believe. I dropped Ole Miss to like 21, and I dropped North Carolina to 24, I want to think. Yet, Ole Miss is ranked over Colorado. Utah is at 12 over Oregon, and North Carolina is in the top 20. Why? Why? Why is North Carolina still in the top 20? Let's focus on that first. They barely beat Appalachian State. Appalachian State is not going to touch the top 25 in 20 years. They're not. They're bad. They're awful. And I know there's probably an asterisk of like, oh, North Carolina is coming off a very very like big, solid border state rival win against South Carolina. But South Carolina isn't good either. There's no reason for it to be that close against Appalachian State, and there's no reason for them to continue to be ranked top 20 in the country. Miami is 2-0 and has two very solid wins, especially over a ranked opponent. North Carolina does not have a ranked win. Miami coming off beating Texas A&M. Yeah. There's just, North Carolina should have been so much farther down the list. Not out the top 25, they still won, but come on. And then Ole Miss over Colorado. Oregon played Texas Tech. Ole Miss played Tulane. I get not dropping them that much because Tulane is technically a ranked win, but still they should have handled them easily for them to be ranked, I think, around like 17. And Colorado manhandled Nebraska and has a ranked win that is technically, if you want to consider Tulane a ranked opponent, TCU was better than Tulane, and Colorado beat them. Why in any universe is Ole Miss ranked above Colorado? And why is Utah ranked at 12? I like Utah. I realize they have a bit of an injury problem right now, but they shouldn't be at 12. They shouldn't be in the top. Well, I had them ranked around like 14 or 15, right? A couple teams jumping them, a couple teams moving back. Excuse me. 12 is high. 12 is real high for Utah. I get that they're probably going to finish as a top 10 team when Cam Rising comes back, when their tight end comes back, when their defense gets a little healthier. They're probably going to be a top 10 team. But right now, currently, the rankings for college football, week 3, Utah should just not be at 12. They're going to move up, so you can calm down on that. They shouldn't be at 12. Now, looking forward in college football, it's a boring week. It is a boring week of college football, which sucks because this is one of the first weeks, one of the only weeks where I get to have the weekend off. I work at Amazon, right? The building is closing for maintenance on Friday, so I get the day off. And then I have enough vacation time, and I was like, hey, let me just take Saturday off as well. And we get a boring-ass weekend of football. The only matchup that's worth anything is Tennessee, Florida. That's it. That's it. And even then, Florida looks awful, and Tennessee doesn't look that great. It's probably going to be a close game, which is going to annoy me, but that's what I hate about college football. And that's when people talk about, oh my God, college football is so much better than the NFL. Culture-wise, sure. There is never going to be anything in the NFL like a Red River game. There's never going to be anything in the NFL like an Auburn-Alabama game. There's never going to be anything in the NFL like a whiteout game at Penn State. I'll accept that. But in the NFL, at least you don't have weekends where you're like, oh, my favorite team is playing Coastal. You know what I'm saying? Where they're clearly going to win by 60 points. Now you may say, Jack, Tennessee was supposed to win by 50 against Austin Peay. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You should know that's Tennessee. That's what Tennessee does. That's us. That's Rocky Top. I wish it wasn't. Right? I wish it wasn't Rocky Top. We would have been in the playoffs if we didn't lose 63 to 13 against South Carolina. It's what Tennessee does. The rest of college football, I can't wait. That's why I hated when Nick Saban came out a couple of years ago and was like, oh, we can't get fans in the stands. Yeah, because you schedule FCS schools in, Tuscaloosa that they play? In Tuscaloosa just to wipe the floor with them 60-3. Yeah, if I was an Alabama student, I wouldn't want to go to that either. Yeah, it's the school I'm at. Yeah, it's the team I root for. But I don't want to watch a boring-ass football game. It's why the NFL is just so much better than college football. College football has good games every so often. You know what I mean? And people say, well, I'll take a great college game over like a mid-NFL game. Cool. That means absolutely nothing. But in the NFL, you'll get a couple breakdowns this week on my TikTok, Jackie Boy Sports, 5,600 followers. How we doing? But the two matchups that interest me the most is the Packers and Falcons, both at 1-0. I believe I picked both to lose. Maybe. I know I picked the Bears. I may have picked the Falcons. But this is going to be very interesting. Two teams that could be dark horses for their division. I'm a big Desmond Ridder guy. It might just be because I loved the Cincinnati team that went to the college football playoffs a couple of years ago. So I always love to watch, Sauce Gardner, Desmond Ridder, Alec Pierce. Even though he's on the Colts. I love those guys. And the Falcons are just interesting. I got Bijan on my fantasy football team. Hope he does, more. He got me 20 points. But he has the ability to do more. And against a very good Packers defense and an offense that looks rejuvenated under Jordan Love. Again, week 1 is fake. But you got to take what I've seen. Jordan Love looks pretty good. He's still lacking in weapons. I mean, you still have Aaron Jones, but in the receiver room, it's not a whole lot. I mean, Romeo Doubs, sure. Christian Watson, sure. Nothing to really move the needle. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. And honestly, I think the win will come down to, is it in Atlanta or is it in Green Bay? And unfortunately, I should have probably gotten that information, but I didn't. The next matchup I want to see is the Jets and Cowboys. Only because it could end up being a stupidly close defensive battle or just another disgusting blowout. That Cowboys defense, if the Jets do not sign Jacoby Brissett right now and get him going, the Jets could very well get their shit kicked in. Because, again, Giants Sunday night is not going to be the Giants of 2023. It's just, they're not, right? That doesn't take it away from the fact that the Cowboys defense is very, very, very good. And Zach Wilson is going to have his Kool-Aid drinking, force-fed back to him, and drinking again. I think I used that correctly. Or, like I said, Dak's not going to play that good. Tony Waller can't do anything against that front seven. C.J. Mosley, Quinnen Williams, all them boys. It could be a very low-scoring defensive battle. And that's why I think it's interesting. But that's all I got for y'all this week. Jackie Boys got a sports show, and you just tuned in to that sports show. I appreciate you. Again, look up the YouTube channel. We got visuals now. How you doing? I'll do better at looking at the camera rather than looking at my recording or my notes. But yeah, Twitter, at JJester615. I promise I will memorize the show's Twitter eventually. Follow me on TikTok, Jackie Boy Sports. Email me about the show. Rate the show. Any platform you got, leave a comment, leave a like, share with your friends, talk to it about your friends. I would love to grow this thing. I would absolutely love to grow this thing. And then email me. Tell me you like the show. Tell me you love the show. Tell me you don't like the show. Tell me I'm ugly, whatever you want to do. oldjackieboy1021@gmail.com. Like I said, Jackie Boy's got a sports show, and this was that sports show. Take care.